Hello, my name is Jonathan Wynn, and for my senior thesis, I conducted a study which I titled, Does Sex Difference Have an Effect on the Psychic Staring Effect? I decided to do my study on the psychic staring effect because I believe it is an interesting phenomenon and I wanted to learn more about it. Here is a little background information on the psychic staring effect. The psychic staring effect is an alleged phenomenon where individuals claim to sense when they're being stared at through extrasensory means. This phenomenon was first investigated by psychologist Edward B. Titchener in 1898 after his students told him that they could feel someone was staring at them even though they could not see the person. However, when Titchener would conduct his experiments on his students, his study would consistently yield negative results. On the slide are three different studies that have been conducted by Rupert Sheldrake, all of which have resulted in around a 50% hit rate. This suggests that his results may be due to random chance, which is why there is a 50% hit rate. In this slide, I will be discussing the gaps in the current research on the psychic staring effect. Researchers remain skeptical on the psychic staring effect as not enough extensive research has been done on the topic. Due to the hit rate only being around 50% when scoring the test, researchers believe that these results may be due to chance. Studies on the psychic staring effect also do not interview the participants after the trials, asking if the participants experienced anything. This is something that I thought I would include in my study. The purpose of the study is to examine whether there is a sex difference when studying the psychic staring effect. For my study, I hypothesized that female participants will be better at sensing if someone is staring at them, whereas men will not be as good at sensing if someone is staring at them. For my study, I will be utilizing an independent group's design, meaning each participant only experiences one condition. My independent variable is the starer, so during the trials, the participant will either be staring or not staring. My dependent measure is the sense of being stared at, so whether the participant feels the stare or does not feel the stare. Participants will be assigned to three different conditions: male versus male, male versus female, and female versus female. The study will be conducted in the Psychology Lab in Riggleman Hall 211. Participants will be recruited from undergraduate classes at the University of Charleston, primarily consisting of students in psychology courses and, if necessary, other social science courses, with the permission of the instructor. To begin the study, participants will read and sign two consent forms, ensuring their informed consent to participate. Participants will then be assigned to one of three conditions and receive a sheet of instructions based on their role. These roles include the starer and the staree. Participants will then go through a series of 10 trials under their role and then swap roles with the other participant to complete another series of 10 trials. To begin each trial, the researcher will click a pen once, and to end each trial, the researcher will click a pen twice. Participants are then asked, after each trial, to verbally announce their answers, and the researcher will then record the answers on a sheet of paper. The researcher also asks the participants to explain what they experienced after completing their trials. The order of the trials were counterbalanced so that the order of which you were staring or not staring was completely random. Here is a demonstration of what the trials would look like in my study. Trial 1.
No.
Trial 2.
Yes.
Trial 3.
No.
Alright, you guys may swap now. Santi, how would you explain your experience? Were you guessing on those or could you feel anything at all?
No, I was just guessing mostly, yeah.
Alright, we'll begin the second set of trials now. Trial 1.
yes.
Trial 2.
No.
Trial 3.
Yes.
All right, that concludes the second set of trials. So, Amara, how would you explain your experience? Could you feel anything, or were you guessing on those?
I feel like I was guessing. I feel like the first one I said yes because I could hear like the paper rustle. So I thought maybe you were looking. What was it?
On the slide are the sheet of instructions that were given to the participant based upon their role. On the left side is the sheet of instructions given to the starer, and on the right side are the sheet of instructions given to the staree. The data for my study was analyzed using a chi-square test. The independent variable was the starer, so whether the participant was staring versus not staring, and the dependent measure was the sense of being stared at, so whether the participant could feel the stare or could not feel the stare. The analysis was done with an alpha level of 0.05. Table 1 shows the amount of correct and incorrect guesses for condition 2, which was the male versus female condition. Table 2 shows the amount of correct and incorrect guesses out of all the male and female participants. Contrary to the experimental hypothesis, there was no statistical significance between the two sexes. These results suggest that the participants were not good when it came to the psychic staring effect. In this slide, I will be discussing the findings and implications of my study. The data of my study suggests that there is no evidence that the psychic staring effect exists, and that there is no evidence that there is a sex difference when examining the psychic staring effect. Although my results do not show statistical significance, there are some things that are worth mentioning. Participants claimed that they could feel when someone was staring at them and when they were not staring at them. Some participants also reported feelings of anxiety. One implication that occurred when conducting the study was that the distance of the participants was not always the same. The distance of the participants was not controlled, and this could have influenced the results. Another limitation to the study was that the participants could have been cheating. However, it is unlikely that they were. The researcher had their back facing the participants, so it was hard to determine if the participants were cheating or not. One other limitation to the study was that there was not enough participants in the male versus male condition, which also may have influenced the results. Because some participants mentioned that they felt anxious, I believe that future studies on the psychic staring effect should examine self-esteem and personal space. I suspect that the feeling of anxiety could be related to the distance of the other participant sitting next to them, or due to low levels of self-esteem, causing high anxiety. I also think that it is important that researchers interview the participants afterwards so that they can know whether or not the participants actually experience the psychic staring effect, instead of looking at how many correct or incorrect scores they got. Further research on this topic would be beneficial as it will give us a better understanding of human nature. Lastly is my page of references, and thank you for listening along.